Welcome back to the crash course in response writing. We're going to be looking at section 3, interprets codes and conventions. Again, same tidbit that we started out with in section 2. You may, when you're writing whatever makes you more comfortable, reverse the order of 2 and 3, and you may write codes and conventions following constructs, meaning, and whatever you may please. Back to interprets codes and conventions. So we're going to start with simply what it looks like. You are going to first identify, so state the code and convention, illustrate, show the convention using quotes, examples, etc., and then explain the significance of the code and convention / author's technique. And then you're going to do that twice, same as all the other ones. So we're going to zip along to tips for section 3. Okay, so identify and explain 2. Therefore, you're going to need 2 paragraphs, same as all the others. So identify and analyze 2. You're going to want them to be significant author's techniques because it's going to be very hard to back up and support the importance of your code and convention if you pick something that is not significant. So be sure you pick something significant. Okay, last thing, do not forget to explain how the author's technique enhances the story. Your options are through the plot, character, setting, or theme. Do not forget this piece. It is very important. Okay? It is not enough to simply highlight and identify the code and convention. You must analyze how it is significant and how it enhances the story through one of the 4 elements: plot, character, setting, or theme. Okay? You do it twice. Okay. So, what? You're going to state an effective literary technique that the author has used. 1 sentence. Then you're going to paraphrase, give examples, provide a direct quote, explain, show how. So this is your illustrate, show. This is identify, point it out. This is show how it's done. Okay, this is a couple sentences, examples, paraphrasing, quotes, explaining and showing how. Then again, you need, the quote is not enough, right? You need to have a lead-in sentence that leads up to your quote and a lead-out sentence, okay? So it's 3 things for quotation. Lead-in that leads readers into your quotation, use the quotation, and then lead out and sum up. Then the last point is the why, okay? This is the explain portion. This is your analysis, and this is the important part. So you're going to explain why the technique is effective. It enhances either the plot, character, or setting, up to 4 to 6 sentences. So it can be talking about the author's intention, message, purpose, or effect along the reader. And it can look at theme, etc. Okay, great. Connect it to your theme, right? Okay, so this is what the lead in and lead out looks like. Remember, first part of your quotation, lead in, introduce the quote in general terms. Then you give your quote, then you have your lead out. We'll explain and conclude why the quote is important, and you're justifying your choice of quotation, what it might look like. This quotation demonstrates, blah, 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 give your quotation. Then you're going to close out with, this quote is significant because, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. So this is an exemplar, okay, of what it might look like. In the story Flying, the author uses symbolism throughout the story. One of the important symbols in the story is the uniform which the girls at Earthbank are forced to wear. These clothes are used to symbolize the ideas of the Groundwalkers wish to instill in the Flyers. The Groundwalkers value order, control, and safety. We see how symbolism used in the following passage when, okay, here's your lead in. So this again, lead in sentence. We see how the symbolism is used in the following passage. Then your quotation. then your closing sentence. So here we see restate the purpose of why. Okay, great. So that's how you give examples. So this is what it would look like in an analysis. So here you can see you're analyzing the importance, okay? Looking at what the author's technique does in the story, its purpose. What is it there to do? That's what you're explaining in your analysis. Okay, so here's another example. Here's your quotation, and here's the why, the analysis. Explaining the purpose. Number 1. And then down here, the author uses symbolism to help express the idea that too much control and order limits our individuality. Great, perfectly done. So state it, give an example, and then explain the why. Flush that out in a few sentences in your analysis. Okay, so here's some examples of what you can do with analysis. So implication for society. The author uses the symbol to express what it means to the greater world. The technique's impact on the story itself, so what it means within the story. And here's an example, continuing on what we've just looked at. Then we have author's intention. So this is what the author's meaning, the author's message, meaning. Here's an example. And the fourth would be the effect on the reader, what effect it has on us as a reader when we read the story. So these are the 4 different types of analysis that you can do in your closing sentences. There are 4 to 6 sentences where you're explaining the importance, okay? There we go. So your tips for part 3. Spend the majority of your time on the analysis, meaning the last part, explaining how the literary technique enhances the 4 literary elements. While examining the 4 literary elements, explore the following: the implications for society, the technique's impact on the story, which you've done, and the author's intention. And then the effect on the reader. 4 to 6 sentences on analysis. Okay, so here it is, really simple. Okay, state the technique, give examples, provide a quote, and then explain why it's important in your analysis. Okay? Best of luck. Check out the PowerPoint that lists all the codes and conventions as well on the website. Okay?